All right, we did it. We made it a whole nother week. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm John Tabacco, coming at you live as we do every single day lately from the Corona Bunker Studios right here in the living room of my house. It's a beautiful sunny day in Staten Island, New York, as you can see. And there's lots going on for us to talk about today. First and foremost, I would like to ask my producer, Nico, to remove my lower third. That would be nice. And you can see right here on the Liquid Lunch desk a beautiful cold antipasto, which we'll be celebrating this Friday with. And that's from my buddies over at Freddy's. We had a party last night here at the studio for a great friend, Eddie Bagel, and 90th birthday party, and we had plenty of antipasto left. So I'll be nibbling and gnashing as we go through the 2 hours today. And speaking of Nico, taking down my lower third, you can put it back up now. Yesterday, my son had a ball game in New Jersey, and I really wanted to be there. So I left a little early, and we played an old clip from last week in one of the segments, and then I was encouraging Nico to do better by going on air and actually fill in for me rather than running some old reruns and stuff. And there were 3 segments left. He only selected to do 1, but I must say, did a wonderful job. And for those of you who were watching yesterday, I'm sure you will agree with me that I beat the hell out of him all the time, okay? But when he does good, I gotta say he did good. Hey, there he is, okay. You did good, okay? And I was watching in the car, and I was thinking in my head, all the audience is probably thinking, wow, how good is Nico? And then I'm thinking, oh, I might be in jeopardy here, losing my job if I take off anymore because this kid's doing good. And it is a joyous day to see the blossoming of a young talent that you're trying to mentor. And, you know, at some point in this whole thing, he wanted to read notes and use teleprompters. And then yesterday, he just jumped in the fire with nothing and was probably the best he's ever been when he's not prepared. So, note to all, Nico did a wonderful, amazing job yesterday.
Thank you, JT. I appreciate that.
Very good. All right, now we got that out of the way. Put a little asterisk on there. We'll talk about the things he screwed up another day, but no, you did a great job. And you know, Vince Everett Ellison is not hard to screw up. You know what I mean? Like he's a whopper of a guest. But all right, lots going on in the markets today. Dow just middling around right now. A lot of talk back and forth between the Democrats and the Republicans. It doesn't look like there's going to be any sort of stimulus bill until September, because the legislature has gone home. President did these emergency orders, so everybody on unemployment, you're good. You're getting another $400, and that's gonna help you through the end of the year, which is big. And then all you small business owners out there, you're gonna get a nice little chunk in your account, probably within the next couple of weeks, according to Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. And you're going to get your 7.5% payroll tax. You don't have to pay anymore, so you get a nice little thing there. And they're going to give you your money retroactively back to July. So when they pay you, you'll get 2 months of 7% money back in your account. So you get a little rebate there too, okay? I ask you all the time, thanks for everybody watching on social media and all that other stuff. I got a lot to do today. I got a lot to cover. I got some great social media stuff for you. One of my favorite viewers, Amal, sends me things, and others. Last week I had a submission from my friend Tara on Facebook. Some really good stuff to talk to you about. And we are going to end the week with a bang, and we're going to kick that off right after this, when we're joined by Xen Sams, model, actress, super mom, right after this. All right, welcome back. The big news this week was that, of course, Joe Biden selected Kamala Harris, the hollow vessel of a transactional candidate. They wheel her in as the tool of the progressive left, the George Soroses of the world, and the Hillary Clintonites and the Clinton cartel and all those folks. I don't know if you saw this on social the other day, but it's true. I have a videotape of it. We'll play it on maybe later or on Monday. But the other day, before they were outed, if you went online and you typed in www.antifa.com, you type that in, antifa.com, and hit go, it took you to Joe Biden for President's page, his official page. And I have that video. We'll get it. I took it off. Someone filmed themselves clicking on it. So Antifa domain was going directly to Joe Biden's contribution page. That's scary, okay, right off the bat. And Kamala Harris came right out in the first thing, and what did she say? She says, oh, these young people who are rioting and looting, they're expressing themselves. And we were talking about yesterday how some Black Lives Matter organizer in Chicago was saying that if you need to steal a Gucci to eat, you should do it. And I tendered the question, how does a Gucci taste? How do you eat a Gucci bag? What's the preparation? But someone who would know a lot more about this, certainly on the Gucci bag side, my good friend, model, actress, supermom, Xen Sams joins us from a blue land, apparently. Hello, Xen. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, John?
I'm doing great. I'm wondering, I know you got some thoughts on Kamala Harris. I'm wondering, if you saw any of this stuff that she's basically praising the looters, and then the Antifa website goes to joebiden.com. What goes on here? I mean, she's actually changed many positions overnight.
Look, the phony. This is all the phony feminism of Kamala Harris and the hypocrisy of Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah.
Duplicitous, groundbreaking, and basically controversial are all the terms that come more quickly to my mind than this safe word people keep throwing out. I mean, look, Harris is a woman, we know that, Black, daughter of immigrants from India and Jamaica, stepmother and married to a white guy, characteristics she shares with precisely none of the previous 48 previous American vice presidents. And, as a senator, she's been a very vocal and rowdy opponent of the Trump administration. Over the course of her career as a prosecutor and California's attorney general, she's made decisions that alienated both progressive and conservatives. But it was during her 2019 campaign for the Democratic presidential nomination, her biggest moment on the debate stage came when she criticized Biden for his willingness to work with segregationists against busing to integrate schools. She's
right.
Many things, but the label safe, not so much. Last spring, when multiple women accused Biden of inappropriate touching, she said, I believe them and I respect them being able to tell their story and having the courage to do it. However, she said it, whatever. I mean, she claims that she's all for women, but I mean, I try to rationalize with what Biden must have really, what was he really thinking?
He's not thinking, Xen, but Xen, he's not thinking. He's not thinking. There are people making these decisions. There are puppet masters behind there.
Oh, yeah.
They're just pushing this guy around. But I want to read you something. Georgetown University Battleground State poll, okay, just came out today, okay? Now, they said they were going to add, the vice president was going to be a black woman. That was, affirmative action from the beginning. It had to be a woman and she had to be of color, right? That's number one. And that's to try to shore up the African-American base because they were doing great. The economy was doing great. Small businesses were starting over again, right?
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, this is a new poll, just came out, okay? It was up from August 1st to August 6th, so it's a week old, this poll, okay? Harris had a 64% favorable rating among black voters, okay? So only 64% among black voters was favorable. So where are the other 36, I wonder? 41% favorable with white voters, and 39% with Latino and Hispanic voters. So she doesn't break the high water mark on anything except the black vote, but 64% doesn't sound good. Trump's at 91 with the Republicans.
It's not okay to vote for Biden because you love the vice presidential candidate better than the presidential candidate. It's not a good reason. I mean, and dangling that carrot is extremely duplicitous because they're two hypocrites. Harris only cares about women's rights when those rights don't conflict with her career ambitions. She's long positioned herself as a feminist crusader, yet she's actively championed policies that deny women's agencies, ratcheted up female incarceration, and endangered those most basically vulnerable to sexual abuse, because along the way, she's shown an utter disregard for civil liberties and constitutional law, a tendency that now she's going to get to take to the White House if Biden is elected. And that is the scary part, John. And one of her prominent crusades, let me remind you, in recent years, has been against the classified advertising platform. I don't know if you recall, Backpage, which had inherited much of the digital sex ad market. And after the federal government had forced myredbook.com to close in 2008, Kamala spearheaded the arrest of Backpage executives on charges of pimping and conspiracy online. But females who are professional sex workers had actually credited online advertising platforms with allowing them greater independence, reducing the need to rely on pimps, and curtailing the risks of their actual safety, because they were able to screen the clients. And now those platforms have since been seized. Fine, we'll give her that. And the only reason she did this is because it was a bullseye for grandstanding for Miss Kamala Harris.
No doubt.
She basically used that new visibility of prostitution ads to peddle sex trafficking hysteria and make a name for herself in the process.
Wow.
But her process is anything but honest. And in this connivingness, the connivingness is what I don't trust as a woman, because look how deep she went. The original ruling was that Congress didn't wish to hold liable these online publishers for the action of publishing third-party speech, and said it was for Congress, not the court, to revisit. What does Kamala do? As one of her final acts of California's top prosecutors, she filed identical charges against Backpage in another California court, a move the First Amendment Lawyers Association called a gross abuse of prosecutorial discretion.
Ouch.
And this is a part of Harris's pattern of disrespect to the process.
All right. Take a breath. I know you're excited. This is great stuff. But I don't want to miss this last point, because I want to get your point of view on it, and it matters to me and everyone else. All Xens matter, by the way. Xen, I put up some photo of her and her parents yesterday. Her dad is a Jamaican guy, a British Jamaican guy, and her mom is Indian, right? So now, there's this kind of, rumor going around that she's Asian somehow. And there's the photo from yesterday. I don't know how a Jamaican person and an Indian person makes an Asian person, but when she has all these different heritages in her, why is she only calling herself black?
Right, because right now it's the Black Lives That Matter, and her campaign matters, and she is duplicitous, and she aligns herself with only what matters to her in the moment. And this is again going into her, sorry, the sirens are on here. I apologize.
Are they coming for you?
Oh, they're coming. Yeah, she probably has spies watching me. She's probably sending them to me now. But her two worst habits, and these are very dangerous habits for the White House. It's a willingness to skirt constitutional protections when it suits her agenda, and she has public orientation towards only high-profile social justice causes, but it's all masked with behind-the-scene moves that are very duplicitous, because from the beginning, she's portrayed herself as a tough-on-crime progressive, but these habits are easy to see when the issue involves sex work, but they extend really far outside that realm. I mean, take the time she fought back against the California court ruling saying that the state couldn't keep prisoners in overcrowded conditions and deny them medical care. Her reasoning, the state needed the slave labor provided by mass incarceration. What? Or when she went to bat to keep Lonnie Rivera on the sex offender registry. Rivera's crime in 1989, when he was 19, he had sex with a 17-year-old now who is his wife. And now he's on a sex offender registry. For all her big talk on criminal justice reform, she fought to keep marijuana criminalized in California, but resisted efforts to deportize the arrest of non-violent drug offenders. Bravo, Kamala. She also pushed to send parents of high school students to jail for having more than 3 unexcused absences in 1 year. What?
That's crazy. All right, well, look, I don't want you to get cut off because this was an amazing appearance. I want you to do me a solid and spread it around to all you folks, because people got to know the real deal with this Kamala Harris, and we're going to try to Keep bringing it to them. You go hide under your bed or something, because those cops, if they're coming for you, we need you back next week. So, lay low for a little bit. And you added a new word to my vocabulary today, connivingness. I love it.
Yeah.
Darling, thank you so much. You have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, you and the fam.
Bye. Take care, John.
All right, that's Xen Sams. We're going to take a quick break right here on Liquid Lunch. We're going to come back in just a minute and cover some news of the day right after this.
5, 4, 3, 2.
For more Liquid Lunch, head over to YouTube, do a search for Liquid Lunch TV, and hit that subscribe button.
It is a wonderful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Hello, neighbors. I used to love that guy, Mr. Rogers. If I had pants on, I'd show you how I tie my shoes and try to, replicate the whole thing. But it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood here in New York, but not so much around the country. There's so much division in our country right now. I keep constantly banging the drum about this whacked out left-wing media and how 6 media companies basically control all the content that we see. And somewhere in there, all 6 of these media companies have some major executives that have flown on Jeffrey Epstein's plane or gone to Epstein Island, okay? And, his plane was called the Lolita Express. And, it turns out that Lolita was, a character in a 50s movie that was an underage girl, and an older man took a liking to her, and they had this really weird, strange relationship. And it kind of means an older sexual pervert who likes underage girls is what Lolita means. And his plane was called the Lolita Express. So, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know. But as things get crazier and crazier, like the Democratic National Party wants us to forget that just a few months ago, Kamala Harris was calling Joe Biden a racist. They want us to forget that. That didn't happen. That did not happen. She did not call him a racist. She didn't suggest that he stood with segregationists. She didn't say he was for busing, forced busing. She didn't say any of that. Don't think that anymore. She's not like that anymore. This is the new Kamala now, okay? And the left-wing media and the pundits and everyone else just wants to look us right in the eye, straight in the eye, and say, this is the new thing. This is what we're saying now. Just go with this. Don't go backwards. This is where we're at now. So, this guy Sean King, who's one of the loudmouth leaders of the BLM movement, okay? This is the same guy who said we're going to burn down your cities. He said that now that they're done, now forget about the historical figures who are statues. We have to go after Jesus. That's what this guy said. We have to go after Jesus. The white man's European version of Jesus must be torn down. Okay, so here's a guy who's talking about like really radical stuff. Okay, and he's pretty outspoken. He's known on social media. I think he acts like a jackass sometimes, but everybody has the right to their own point of view. Okay, I want you to take a look at this. Is a great side-by-side just to make you understand, just to make you think about it a little bit more. So here we go. It's titled, If Democrats Didn't Have Double Standards, They Wouldn't Have Any Standards at All. Now, go back in the Wayback Machine to 2018. And Sean King, one of the leaders of the BLM movement, said, I'll be frank and tell you 2 Democrats that I am 99% sure I won't be supporting, primarily because of their dismal history on criminal justice reform over the course of their entire careers. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They both helped build and advance mass incarceration. So here's Sean King in 2018 saying, no way I'll ever vote for either of these 2 at all. And they both helped build and advance mass incarceration. That's what he said in 2018. Fast forward to 2 days ago when Kamala Harris is announced as the vice president. We are to forget that this guy said that they're the worst two people in history for mass incarceration. And now in 2020, here's what he says. That's it for me. Incredibly proud to see a brilliant black woman, an HBCU grad, chosen as vice presidential nominee. I've done political work my whole life. It's rarely things dreams are made of. Kamala Harris is the most progressive VP nominee in American history. So, okay. In 2018, okay, one of the leaders of this whole leftist socialist movement, Sean King, said that there is no possible way I'm voting for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, and both of them. He said he put them together, like he knew, he had foresight. He was like, please don't make Biden and Kamala the running team because the 99% cannot vote for them. And I guess that little 1% sliver actually came into play. Did it? Was it the 1%er? Is he a 1%er now? Sean King's a 1%er. Wow. This is amazing. No, it's not amazing, okay? It's the whole narrative. And if you don't see all these little things popping together, you need your eyes checked, okay? Because the left is now creating a whole new narrative. They don't want you to remember last week, last month, last year, 2 years ago. They don't want you to remember that Kamala Harris threw over 1,500 people in jail for smoking weed. Smoking a little reefer, it's legal now in most states. Okay, so number one, those people should be out of jail already. Okay, you were doing something that was illegal then, it's not illegal now. You're free, okay? She threw 1,500 people in jail in Cali for a little smoking of weed, okay? I'm not saying that's the best thing around, but you don't throw people in jail for a doobie. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but, you know, it gave her some political panache to come in and be tough on crime, okay? And she was enforcing new kinds of penalties and sentences from Joe Biden's 94 crime bill. Okay, and then when she was on, you know, running for president, and she had dismal numbers when she was running for president, she was all giggling and laughing all the time. Okay, she was on the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne the God. They started asking her about smoking weed, if she ever did, and she started, of course I did. Okay, like it's a big joke, but guess what? She didn't get thrown in jail. None of her friends got thrown in jail, but innocent, not innocent, but people for minor nonviolent crimes were thrown in jail for a long time, thanks to Kamala Harris. Now, while all this is going on, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and that whole crew, they're making all these decisions. Trust me when I tell you on that. Trust your buddy JT on this one. They're making all the decisions, okay? And one of the things that I've been talking about on this show, if you remember a couple of weeks ago or last week, Donald Trump was talking about how he took this cognitive test that's like 30 questions, some memorization, some sight, some you know, different things, right? And the left was mocking Trump and saying a first grader could take it. They asked Joe Biden on CBS, would you take the cognitive test? He flipped out on the guy, the black guy who was asking the questions. He said, you know what? Did you get drug tested? Did they test you for cocaine when you came in? Are you a junkie? This is what he said to the guy interviewing him because he was trying to deflect from, can you take a cognitive test? Well, lo and behold, many people have been calling for it. Many people have been asking for it. And I got some an exclusive photo here submitted by one of our viewers, Amal, that she got her hands on this somehow. And they are apparently preparing Joe for the cognitive test by doing some other things with him. And they gave him apparently a crossword puzzle, and this is what Joe wind up doing with the crossword puzzle. He thought it was a maze. So just to give you an idea where this guy's mindset is, he's great at mazes. I don't know about crosswords, but it's not really a photo of Joe doing a crossword. It's a little joke. It's a little political satire, and I want to thank all of you for sending me these funny things, and I try to get them in the show whenever I can. Stay right there. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Michael Johns, co-founder of the Tea Party movement, right after this. Alrighty, welcome back. Just buzzing through this first hour here, and I do want to update you on the markets a little bit. Dow turned into the green, up 50. That's a good sign. 27,950 now. A close over 28,000, and any more executive orders this weekend, we could see the market over 30,000 next week. So I would say, keep your powder dry, but be ready. And Bitcoin is just nibbling up against that 12,000 at 11,829 and over 12. As I told you earlier in the week, if it goes over 10.3, it goes to 12. It's just about there. Over 12, it goes to 15. So don't keep your powder dry. If you're ready and you're educated and you think it's suitable for you, might be a good time to add a little bit of Bitcoin into your portfolio and diversify as a alternative asset. If you need any hints, tips, anything like that, email me and I'll help you out. Helping us out every single week and every single day, even when he's not here. He joins me every Friday. It's Michael Johns. He's one of the co-founders of the Tea Party movement. He was a speechwriter for President George H.W. Bush, and a great friend of the show, policy analyst. Mike, it seems like this corona vaccine, everybody's saying, oh, okay, we should have it by December, we should have it by January, and all this other stuff. Every single person, and I've been asking a lot of moms this question, like women, just to see, because women are a little more cognitively objective than us men. They're more interested in safety and security. They care about, they have that motherly instinct. I've been asking women a lot, if this vaccine is available in January, are you going to give it to your kids? And I'm telling you, it's almost unanimous. No one says yes. They don't want to give it to their kids. So what's the point?
Well, and why that's important, why it's essential, is because it's not even an issue as it relates to that particular individual's health, which obviously is important. But in vaccinations, there is a thing called herd immunity, meaning we could have the greatest vaccine ever created for this novel virus. And yet, if we're not getting 60, 70, 80% participation in the vaccination level, you aren't reaching the number of individuals that provides any beneficial clinical effect for prevention for the non-vaccinated. So as I've been looking at this, firstly, you have to give, again, credit to this president, $10 billion allocation in public-private partnerships, which are always very difficult to navigate in the development of a vaccine that's good. We've never had a vaccine in the history of the world developed in under 4 years. The mumps vaccine, which predated the MMR vaccine in the 1960s, was developed in 4 years, and that was considered an unbelievable scientific accomplishment. This is a virus for which we've had no historical exposure to it really before this year, and it's a complicated virus. It very well could, and it looks like it was an animal to human transmission in the origin, but possibly. There's a lot of complicating factors, and there's still a lot of unknown questions. But $10 billion allocated, $3 billion of that to NIH for their own research. 7+ has gone into these commercial undertakings. I think as I looked at those, and I saw GlaxoSmithKline involved, Sanofi. A lot of European-based companies, which again reiterates the importance of developing our own U.S.-based infrastructure for these issues. Janssen, which I believe is in Belgium, Novavax is U.S.-based. They've been pretty involved. Pfizer has probably the most developed vaccine at this point. They're heading into phase 3 trials. And of course, the other issue is just on participation. It's not just the reluctance to do it, but when you participate in the trials, you've got the kind of the double-blind placebo approach, which means you have a 50% chance of getting a placebo and not getting the vaccine.
Right.
So
Right.
To the extent that you do conclude, hey, look, this is a real threat to my health, and I want the vaccine, we got to get like as many as 30,000 people to participate in trials. 15,000 of whom will
Get nothing.
Exactly. It's always been a challenge, and it's been a particular challenge before coronavirus in patients who've had fatal disease. Because in those cases, individuals really are operating with breakneck urgency, and the last thing they want is a placebo. drug development's hugely important. It's hugely complicated. Again, this president, I think, is just right on target in both the approach he's taken to it, the way he's forged these public-private partnerships. And if we have a vaccine that is successful, and by the way, you got to put successful into context. The FDA looks at, they want a 50% success rate in this vaccine to approve it. So even in those cases, it's not fully 100% effective. Just like the MMR vaccine is not fully effective, just like the flu vaccine is, like 60% effective.
Well, unless of course you're Russia, and then you have a fully tested vaccine already ready to give out, and even Vladimir Putin said he even gave it to his daughter. So how crazy is that?
Vladimir Putin hasn't taken it yet, and the daughter's is sort of uncompromised and hearsay in my judgment. That never went. That was a Sputnik 5 program. I think they had a great degree, as Russia always has had in every aspect of scientific development, a great degree of national pride, and they kind of skipped a bunch of these testing steps, which were essential. And as you know, but for the purposes of your audience, you kind of go through, 3 phases: animal testing, phase 1, phase 2. You go through really kind of assessing the safety of the medication, first in a small population, and then in a larger population, and then phase 3 looks at the efficacy. Does this prospective drug actually work?
Yeah, Mike, just to bring it back into, both of our realm a little bit, my background is in short selling. So I've been involved in all kinds of trades around pharmaceutical companies. And I'm usually short. So we're usually hoping that the FDA turns them down. You know what I'm saying? Because that's bad news. And then the stock tanks, and then it's a few more months for them to correct the stuff from the FDA. And then all the lead up is this time they're going to get it, this time they're going to get it, this time they're going to get it, and it goes up. And then the FDA says, nope, still no good. And then it tanks again, and the shorts make tons of money on that stuff. But I have never, ever seen one company that I've followed that just gets green lighted, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, with no pushback whatsoever. So that, just not as a medical guy, as a market guy, this is unprecedented, and I think it probably will lead to not the best solution.
Well, I started my healthcare career, at least at Eli Lilly, one of the larger pharmaceutical companies in the world, and I also worked with a company in Long Island, national company that was involved extensively in staffing for clinical trials. And these issues, both the speed of them and the regulatory impediments, and then on the other side, maintaining the public safety, have been a real tug of war between the industry and our government. And of course, one thing that I had noted even before coronavirus was the fact that the anti-vax movement in this country, which I believe lacks scientific validity, but which can't be flippantly dismissed because these are very passionate people. They have anecdotal cases. They personally are very convinced. I have no reason to doubt their sincerity. We have in this country had a sort of steady erosion of confidence in vaccination safety. And that's on conventional vaccines, like the MMR vaccine, which is commonly given in the first few years of life. Right. Like the flu vaccine, which is given to millions of people every year. Individuals who really have somehow come to some generally probably wrong scientifically conclusion that there is an undeniable correlation between this and other side effects. For the purposes of a new vaccine for a new virus, I think there's a lot of skepticism out there, and that gets to the point of how this administration needs to respond, both from the public health standpoint and the political dimension of this, given that we got an army of highly compensated Biden, Harris people that are looking to make the president look foolish. They really have to get out front in ultimately communicating the safety, the efficacy, and the importance of.
I heard Dr. Anthony Fauci on with Mark Levin a couple of weeks ago. And Fauci, I don't know why Trump is not pounding this, but Fauci was saying to Levin that nothing he's recommended to the president has the president rejected. shutting down. It turns out that shutting down the inbound flights from China and other places probably saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
He was against it, though. See? I thought Fauci was against that. I don't know. I
think he was too, but this is what he's saying on Levin now. In hindsight, he's saying, and I think he did a fantastic job. Almost amazing is what he said. Nearly amazing effort, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's obviously a highly competent person. There's been a lot of criticism of him. My sources, contacts in the administration and in HHS and elsewhere feel positively about him, that he's sincere.
Yeah.
If you want to drill down to his politics, did he vote for Donald Trump in 2016? I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Yeah, of course not.
2020, probably not.
All right.
And I do think there's an importance to have kind of a monolithic message, on
I don't think Trump has that yet. We got Mike. We're gonna have to talk about it next week. We're running out of time here, but that's Michael Johns, co-founder of the Tea Party movement, and we're gonna take a quick break, make you laugh with Barry Goldsmith right after this. All right, welcome back. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm John Tabacco. We are whipping it through this Freaky Friday. I have this bottle of bourbon left over from the 90th birthday celebration last night, so I'm going to be taking down a healthy portion of this during the rest of the show today. But you don't need to be drunk to laugh at this guy. He comes with us every Friday and joins us to crack you up. He's here with us right now, as usual, the one, the only, Barry Goldsmith, professor, architectural historian, award-winning comedy writer, and host of the Been There, Haven't Done That radio show heard here in New York on Sunday nights on WOR Radio. And he is here to make you laugh. Now, Barry, thank you for joining us again, as usual, you man.
Thank you, John. I know that our president is in trouble right now in the ratings, so I have one or two suggestions before we go on our routine. First of all, people are tired of hearing I guess the metaphor from 2016 when he ran the first time. I can go down Fifth Avenue and shoot anyone and get away with it. Well, it's time to update it. In 2020, I can walk down and shoot anyone on Fifth Avenue with the Russian COVID vaccine and get away.
All right, that's one for the good guys.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this. I know you got a lot of things on your mind with the masks and all this whole crazy mask situation. What's happening there?
Well, let's face it, Americans can't mask, and masks are getting so much attention. Well, I just discovered something, and let me show it to you. First of all, I found two statues that were not toppled in urban rioting. Plus, they are in front of a federal building in New York City that wasn't defaced at all. So that in itself should get them into the Guinness Kindle of Records. Thank you.
The old Kindle Ruski.
Okay, now let's take a look at it. Okay, I mean, I think masks are a bit overdone. First of all, justice is blind. The poor woman can't see. Okay, now with a mask, she can't speak or breathe. What do they want to do? Choke the statue altogether? Come on. I mean,
they should put a pair of earmuffs on her. They should put a pair of earmuffs on her, and she'll be hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. At this point,
right? Which you'll see my version of it next week.
Oh.
Anyway, I guess the judge issued a gag order there. And you know what? I think courts should be funnier. As a comedy writer, I went to law school. I would have continued if I could have written gags for judges' gag orders. That would have been what I had in the future.
Let me ask you this, Barry. That's pretty funny. What other New Yorkers are wearing masks all the time when they don't have to?
Oh, tell me about it. You know, take a look at this. This is the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Arms and Armor Hall. Even the horses are wearing masks. I mean, how crazy is that? And you know what? And on top of it all, the riders and the horses don't have to wear masks because the Metropolitan Museum of Art is closed. I mean, is that ridiculous?
It's outrageous. And let me ask you this. Now you're a man about town. You're a
Yes.
professor at NYU. You know all the best architectural things in New York City. You know New York City like the back of your hands. Are there other places in New York where you don't have to wear a mask?
Yes, and I'll tell you what it is. In fact, people complain about wearing masks, being forced to wear masks on buses. I mean, take a look at this. This is totally getting out of hand. But half the buses in New York, thanks to de Blasio, are not in service. And you still have to wear a mask. And I think that buses not in service are an affront to God-fearing Christians, Jews, and Muslims. Because let's face it, not in service appeals to atheist bus riders. I mean, hello? And as an urban planner and architect, I'll tell you something else about not in service. They're building a new community from scratch in New Jersey, all right? And they already have a name for that new community. It's right outside New York. It's called Not in Service New Jersey, because most of the New York City buses go there anyway.
All right. Let me ask you this. It's the second week of August, a lot of highlights out there. What were the big stories this week, the last couple of weeks?
Oh, well, lots of them. I mean, for instance, let's take a look first maybe at Kamala Harris, okay? She's getting a lot of buzz, lots of it. I didn't realize until she was picked as a vice presidential candidate that not only is she half black, she's also half Indian. And you know what? Donald Trump is very worried because Kamala Harris is half Indian. He thinks he's going to lose the state of Indiana. You know how he said that Joe Biden does not believe in God?
Yep.
I heard now, because Kamala Harris is half Indian, he's now saying because Kamala Harris is half Indian, she believes in too many gods.
So they got to level it out.
Exactly.
He has no gods. She has many gods. Let me ask you this. Supposedly they're going to start reopening businesses, and there's this stop and go process here. How are the store reopenings going?
Well, first of all, there's good news in reopening businesses, and at the same time, you get kids out of the house. And you know how you can reopen business and get kids out of the house? Go back to child labor. Hey, right? Okay. Actually,
no,
it is.
I can't give you that one. We can't go back to child labor.
It is taking longer than it should. You know, so many mom and pop stores were closed so long that they've now become grandma and grandpa stores. That's how long it is.
All right. And what about Christmas? Do we have anything? Do you think it'll be a good Christmas season?
Do you know who's going to face eviction? Okay. Store Santa Clauses. I mean, I used to love the store Santa Claus. In fact, they're so depressed they've actually lost weight. And, anyway, you know,
Santa's got anorexia because he's depressed.
Yeah.
What about last thing in our last minute? Mail-in voting.
Mail-in voting. First of all, there's good news. Okay, there's a classic movie called The Postman Rings Twice. Well, they're doing a reboot of it, a remake. It's called The Postman Never Rings. So,
all right.
I think Donald Trump not only knows more than his generals, he knows more than his postmaster general.
He should. All right, we got to leave it there, Barry. You're the bomb. Thanks so much. We got to take a quick break right here. Kick off hour 2 right after this. All righty, welcome back. Just kicking off hour 2 here. It is a freaky, funny Friday. We've got lots of fans and friends out there checking in on the show on social media. We are killing it lately, much the way Barry's performance today killed our audience in the last segment. But these things happen. You know, when you're a funny man, you can't be funny all the time. You know what I mean? And if you in baseball, if you go 3 for 10, you bat 300, you go to the Hall of Fame. So with comics, you only need like 1 or 2 out of 10. But hey, listen. This is why we have an open platform where people can express themselves. And Barry makes me laugh every time he's here, all the time. And you know what? One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about, our audience out there, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. Hilde Toussaint is a new viewer. She just tuned in. Marianne Amal Wazarali is there. Johnny Mack is there. Eddie Monahan's watching. Hello, Eddie. I use all this stuff you guys sent me, and Michael Johns was talking about it in the last segment before Barry there, that we're building a community here, and some of the stuff, it's almost like an inside joke. You know what I mean? Like, you're in on it. You're with us. You know when I'm fooling around. You know some of this stuff. Like, if you want to really be part of the Liquid Lunch bunch, you're part of the in crowd. You know the inside joke. I may be saying ha-ha and ringing the bell, but you see my face over here. I'm like, ha-ha, right? We're trying to build a fun atmosphere here, but hit the news hard. And, you know, I continue to try to do that. And newsworthy story today, we have that piece on Kamala Harris's husband. I did want to just, I sent it to you yesterday, Jess. Okay, all right, well, we don't have that right now. But by the way, Kamala Harris's husband, he's a Jewish attorney. So for those of you who didn't know, she's practicing the Jewish faith. I don't know that she'll do as much for Israel as Donald Trump has, because he's done more than any other president in history for the Israeli country and the Jewish people. But you know, her husband's a big lobbyist, big attorney for lobbyists and other things. And I looked up the different law firms he's worked for: Pillsbury, Venables. You know, these are some good firms. The DLA Piper. The firm DLA Piper is, let's see, I believe the law firm that Kamala Harris's husband works for gave about 70% of their political contributions were to Democrats. They were the biggest legal donor to Barack Obama, and they were up there with the biggest donors to Hillary Clinton. So if you want to know why, you can point to who is actually pulling the puppet strings on this thing and who selected her. Okay, here you go. This is from Kamala's husband's wiki page, and then I clicked through to a link to DLA Piper. 12th largest donor to President Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign, according to the Center for Responsive Politics. DLA Piper was one of the top law firms contributing to federal candidates in the 2012 election, donating $2.1 million, 73% of that to Democrats. Since 1990, DLA Piper has contributed $17 million to federal campaigns and spent $1 million on lobbying. And finally, as of 2014, it was the 5th largest donor to potential presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. So 12th largest donor to Barack Obama, 5th largest donor to Hillary Clinton. And if you don't know, now you know. Stay right there. I'm going to come back with my good friend and the executive director of USA Strong, Erin Elmore, joins us right after this. You're watching Liquid Lunch.
For more Liquid Lunch, head over to YouTube, do a search for Liquid Lunch TV, and hit that subscribe button.
Alrighty, welcome back. It's a Freaky Friday. It's quite the funny Friday. And we also do Fan Friday. So if you're out there and you got a bone to pick with me, or you got some observations you want to shoot into the show, drop a note into the Facebook stream, and one of the producers will contact you, and you will be on today's show, okay? And that's because we're cool over here, and we're hot like that. And I don't usually get her on Fridays, but speaking of hot, Erin Elmore is here, and she's ready to light this thing up. She is most recently the executive director of USA Strong, wonderful friend of Liquid Lunch, and myself and Frankie and everyone, also an attorney. And Erin, USA Strong is a nonpartisan, non-political organization committed to bringing advocacy and awareness to how bad China is for us and getting us away from China. I know that's the main mission, but I think at the root of this whole COVID thing, China was involved, and now it's emerged into, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are now calling for masks because of the corona China virus up till the election, few months, they said. What do you say?
I just don't understand where Joe Biden gets the constitutional authority to make these kinds of calls. He's campaigning from his basement nonetheless, but what is he really suggesting here? He doesn't have access to private press briefings or private medical information. He's online playing internet doctor, making suggestions for the American people with no medical basis or foundation in reality whatsoever. He should be out there campaigning for what he would like to do for the American people, and maybe cleaning up his horrible track record following Bill Clinton's crime bill and incarcerating more African American men than any sitting president in the history of the United States. Instead, he's going out talking about masks. It's almost like he says, I have an idea, masks for everybody. Everybody gets a car, like the Oprah of masks. And it really makes no sense, and it completely defies logic. And, I just don't know what he's doing. I think he has no political identity anymore because his mind is really shot, which is quite sad, but he has no political identity. He used to stand for things, and every single solitary thing for which he stood is now seen as distasteful to the Democrat Party. So at the ripe old age of 78, he needs to reinvent himself, and he's having a really hard time with that identity. So he just comes up with something like masks. And then Kamala says, now that's leadership.
That's leadership. We need masks. How can they, I was talking about this a little earlier, that this weird cat, this bum, Shaun King, one of the leaders of the whole Black Lives Matter spokespeople or whatever he is, in 2018, he put out these tweets saying that, two people he would never vote for, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because Joe Biden enacted the 94 crime bill, and then Kamala Harris executed on it and prosecuted far too many African Americans in their view. Now in 2020, they want us to forget that happened and say these are new people. It's crazy, but I don't understand how they don't want to acknowledge the past. It doesn't exist?
I mean, well, it does exist. Kamala Harris incarcerated 1,500 people on marijuana offenses while she sat back and laughed about smoking marijuana herself. She was for cash bail, which often and always hurts the underprivileged, often African-American community. She wanted to prosecute and incarcerate parents for truancy. So you talk about family separation. She has a very, very negative history with crime and heavy prosecution. She also kept inmates in California incarcerated past their release dates because it was cheap labor. So what is she really standing for? What does he really stand for? And first of all of your viewers should know that Black Lives Matter should only be referred to as Black Lives Matter, Inc. They are a Delaware corporation. They are not a 501c3 nonprofit. They are a for-profit organization. They have no programs set up to help African Americans that have been impacted by COVID. They have no programs set out to help African American children with schooling. They have no programs set up to help anyone other than white people, generally speaking, in the Democrat Party.
It makes no sense to me. And there was a George Washington University Battleground State poll today, which I found very intriguing. They did this whole affirmative action thing by saying, okay, the vice president's going to be a black woman. Right. So anybody else is interested, forget your qualifications. If you're not black and you're not a woman, you're out. You can't be VP. So that's like, the height of affirmative action. So, and then Kamala just, she slurps that right up. And it's probably not the first time in her life she's done that. But the things that they want us to forget about Kamala Harris are she's been a transactional opportunist her whole career.
Yeah.
She, many people say kind of slept her way to the top by dating the former mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown. He appointed her to a couple of positions. And even he, Erin, wrote an article in USA Today imploring Joe Biden, do not pick her because she's an opportunist. And he said the minute after she got elected DA, she called him on the phone and said, if you so much as jaywalk, I'm going to indict you. So that's pretty much what she's going to do to Joe Biden. As soon as she's in the door, I don't think he makes it to November 4th, to be honest with you.
Oh, I mean, I think, well, they're not going to win, but I think that she realizes the gravity under which his health is operating, and that she knows that she is the heir apparent. She is the living will, so to speak, to Joe Biden, and she's ready to take over and take that bull by the horns. However, to take a little bit of a hard left here, what? I unfortunately have to talk to a lot of Democrats, and I speak to Republicans as well. Every Republican I've talked to is really thinking about this election. They're saying, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, I've talked to these people and they think this. And they're putting a lot of introspection, thought, and feeling and emotion into this election. When you talk to Democrats, they simply think they have it in the bag. And to me, I think that's a problem. Have they learned nothing from 2016? What leads them to believe that they have it locked up? Why do they think this? Do they know something that everyone else doesn't know? They're relying on polling, perhaps? But we already know the polling is exactly where it was in 2016. And we know what happened there. So what is going on with the Democrat Party is what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. At one point, I thought they were throwing Joe Biden out there as a sacrificial lamb. Then I think when the COVID, the media blew it out of proportion, Trump had to do something about it. They saw a weakness. They saw an opportunity there. And then the Black Lives Matter blew up this division thing. And the thing that I wanted to tell you, they added her to have a black woman because they know Joe Biden actually has problems with the black community because of the 94 crime bill and because of some segregationists he hung out with. So they want to shore that up because Trump did really good with the African American community. And in 3 years, he did more for minorities, new business starts, new home starts, all this stuff, best employment numbers ever, lowest poverty numbers ever. So those people were saying, wait a minute, this guy, I don't care what the media tells me, he's doing good. Right now, Battleground State poll from Georgetown University, Kamala Harris has a 64% favorable rating with African Americans. That's a very bad number for someone who's supposed to be shoring up the black support. What are the other 36% going for? Trump.
Right, exactly. And if you just chalk up Trump's 16 win to everyone being racist, you can't look at it that way because Pennsylvania, Michigan were huge swing states, right? And a lot of those Obama voters voted for Trump. So you can't really chalk this up to some sort of racism. And the other demographic that people are really, really looking to right now is that suburban woman. And the Democrats don't really have a good game with them. They're saying defund the police. And the suburban woman thinks that's a terrifying proposition. I have children. I want to be safe. And the suburban woman mom wants to go back to school. And they're saying, no, you can't go back to school. It's too dangerous. That's why you heard Governor Cuomo say, that's it. We're going back to school because he's been reading the polling data that says that's polling very terribly with the suburban mom. So this Democrat Party and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they really have a lot of work to do with their identity and their favorability. And the other thing about Kamala is she does not bode well with women. She comes back and comes off as acerbic and nasty and not very kind. And that really got Hillary Clinton in a lot of trouble as well.
I think the one thing they were going after here with Kamala Harris is because she was a prosecutor and she did her darndest to try to destroy Brett Kavanaugh and his family's life. So I think they know that Joe Biden doesn't have much fight in him. So I think one of the things is they want to use her as an attack dog, and she's going to say and do anything they tell her.
Oh, of course, she's a puppet. But the problem is that, in a debate with Mike Pence, he's an attorney. He had a talk radio show back in the day. He knows what he's doing on the big stage. I don't think that she'll mop the floor with him in any way, shape, or form. I think he'll hold his own, and he'll do it with a level of decorum and tone and just consistency. And I think he will be a very, very, very solid contender against Kamala.
All right. We got to leave it there. You're the best. I wanted to ask you something. I saw some video of you and your buddy dressing Jane. That you were both on different Foxes in the same day.
You were on the same Fox in the same day.
Same
but
Fox.
Different times, yeah.
Same foxes on the same fox in the same day. Like it.
But I got to tell you something about that. I know you're so busy. So I was on that show, and
Wait,
the senator.
hang on. Can you hang out for another segment? We'll talk a little more.
Yes, I have gossip.
Okay, we'll take a quick commercial break. Erin Elmore is going to hang with us a little more. I'm going to come back right after this. All right, welcome back. You are so lucky today to be tuned in with us on this Freaky Friday because we didn't have her just once. It was so nice we did it twice, and Erin Elmore joins us again for a little double duty here. And as we broke away from that segment, I was reminiscing to a time in the past when people lived like humans and went to TV studios and had fun together in person. We haven't done that in quite some time, but
We need to.
I saw you and your pal, I think she goes under Dressing Jane on Instagram.
Dressing Jane, yeah.
And I saw both of you on the same channel, Fox 29, on the same day. And I mean, how cool are you? How cool are your friends?
Well, I mean, she's the best. We'll have her on. Hi, Elisa, Dressing Jane. But I was going to tell you a little story, but then I decided I'm going to tell you another story.
All right.
So
wait. You said you had some gossip for me on Fox 29. You're not going to give me that now? You just let me on?
I'll give it to you quick. I'll give it to you quick and dirty.
Quick and dirty.
I was on, and the host said, no one interrupt each other. No one interrupt each other. So I'm sitting there, not interrupting as they're called. The other guy's going, Trump's racist, Trump's racist, Trump's racist. And I'm sitting there just, whatever, smiling in my little box. And then he lets me talk, the host that is, and the other guy starts talking over me. Everyone knows the first rule is don't interrupt. I also thought you learned that in kindergarten too, or from your parents. And I said, please don't interrupt me. Well, you would have thought I called his mother a dirty name. Whoa. Because I got in all kinds of trouble.
Really?
And the moral of the story is twofold. He interrupted me, and that's the ultimate sin. And two, if I were another man, would they have reprimanded me? No, they just don't want a woman to step out of turn. So these Democrats that are reprimanding me should really realize, A, he was an interrupter, and B, you're being sexist. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it, right?
Yeah, all right, I like that. Well, you can interrupt me anytime you want, and I'm never going to get mad about it, all right? And I want, if Fox 29 is going to be little bitches, then I want you and Alicia on this show, and you got to come on together. We'll laugh.
We'll do that anytime.
All right, so now tell me this. I am talking about days gone by when you used to come in the studio. You used to spend the whole 2 hours with me and co-host with me and all that other stuff.
So fun.
When are you coming back? What is happening?
So I agreed with my husband that I was going to come back. But then yesterday, I see that the principal, if you will, of my son's school published, and this is a private school, by the way, published a scathing anti-Trump op-ed. It was a scathing, terrible, terrible op-ed voicing his political views. So I just wanted to read you what I wrote back.
Please do. Are there any curses in it?
No.
Okay, perfect.
Dear principal, blah, blah, blah. I won't say his name. Wait, that's not it. Hold on. Give me one more second.
Well, what's the school? What's the school?
I don't want to say. Should I say it?
Yeah, I mean,
all right, then let it rip. It's the Haverford School.
The Haverford School.
The Haverford Boys School.
I'm saying,
yeah.
Nobody's, it's not like
and his name is Dr. Noggle, the headmaster. The Dr. Noggle. Dear Dr. Noggle, while I respect your opinion, I'm terrified. I'm a hugely unapologetic supporter of the president, and I wanted to talk about my qualifications. This is my career, my life's work, and my passion. My son knows how I feel and respects my work. Given all of this, like I said, I'm terrified. First, are you going to punish him for my political views? Second, are you going to try to indoctrinate him to your way of thinking? I'm not paying X number of dollars of hard-earned money a year for my kid to turn out a Democrat.
Wow. That is quite amazing. Now, it's not like people don't worry about saying the name of the school, because it's not like people on our show are going to go Google up Haverford School. And if anybody was going to do it, it would be me. So the headmaster, in fact, is John A. Nagel, retired lieutenant colonel from the U.S. Army, and former president of the Center for American Security, an expert in counterinsurgency. So It looks like he's part of the counterinsurgency against the Trump presidency, if you ask me.
And he's part of the insurgency to get a job in the White House. That's what he's lobbying for right now in a Democrat one.
You think he's lobbying to get into a Joe Biden White House?
Because where we live in Pennsylvania has a close proximity to Delaware, and from what I understand, he may or may not have a relationship with some of the Bidens.
So we don't know for sure, but
No,
you think
and
that there is some kind of possibly relationship in there.
And there was rumors swirling in 2016 that he was going to get a job in failed Hillary's administration. We see how that turned out. So he's going to be 2 for 2 here.
How scary is this that these schools that they're charged with teaching our kids American history and courtesy and politeness and educating them and, you know, molding their brains, and they basically bastardize that whole process to turn it into programming of these kids. Like, we don't need our schools pushing political views on little kids. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, I'm really upset by it. And I'm sure he's getting 50-50, just like the country split down the middle. There's half of the population that's thrilled with his rhetoric and the other half is furious. And is that really how you want to really run a school, expensive school with a lot of competition in the area?
No, it doesn't make sense. And Michael Jordan, if you watch the ESPN series The Last Dance, when it talked about Michael Jordan's, his career, how he advanced, and talked about when he started getting his Nike contract, that people in sports were encouraging him to be, more political views. And Jordan said it best, like a real true businessman. Jordan said, "Hey man, Republicans buy sneakers too." You know what I mean? And Jordan knew right there, I don't want to cut off 50% of my audience because I take some political views. I wish some of these people who are leaders in education would act the same, because you're probably spending 40, 50 grand a year to have your kid in the Haverford school, and at the same time, they're doing things to your kid that you don't want happening.
I mean, this was really the icing on the cake for me. There were emails that went out about white privilege over the summer and links to CNN clips. And I largely remained silent. And I think now, I wrote him an email yesterday, the one that I read to you in part. I want a response. And I have a platform, and I'm going to use my platform. And he should really respond. He issued a fake apology yesterday. And he said, "I believe in the First Amendment," which is, he's alluding to the freedom of speech. But the problem is, he's not a government entity. The school is not a government entity. This is a private place and a private forum, and it's not really dictated by the freedom of speech. It's more dictated by the marketplace of free ideas. And
hey, Erin, listen to this, because we got a minute left. I wanted to bring this up. I talked about it the other day. We got 1 minute left. Nike pays LeBron James $38.6 million a year. The factory workers that make the Nike shoes are making 20 cents an hour and working 80 hours a week. So Nike can profit enough to pay LeBron James $38 million to come out against oppression and injustice. How crazy is this in our final 30? I'm sorry, but you know all about China. They're really enslaving people.
I mean, I just wrote an article that was published in Town Hall yesterday about this, about how the Basketball Association is so corrupt morally and spiritually and financially. They're saying that all of these lives that are important and slavery is terrible. Well, these Chinese people making these shoes are slaves. They are treated worse than any population that's ever existed in the United States of America. Yet they feign concern here at home, but they're pocketing on the slavery in China. And it's abhorrent and it's appalling, and we should have to boycott Nike and
I would love that. I've been asking school moms when they start shopping this year, if the kids go back to school, buy Under Armour, buy Adidas, don't buy Nike. Erin, thank you so much. You're the bomb. Thanks for staying with us for an extra segment. And
thank you.
You and Dressing Jane for a little COVID fashion feature next week.
I love it. And make sure everyone follows Proud USA Strong. Proud USA Strong.
Proud USA Strong. Erin Elmore, thank you. Quick break. More Liquid Lunch right after this. I'm getting angry. I'm seriously getting angry.
No, me too.
I'm getting angry because, you know, everybody wants to send me things, say this, do that, try this, you know, why don't you do that? Like, some of my friends send me memes and stuff. Okay, fine, they don't want to come on. But other people are saying, you got to get me on there. I watch every day. I'm watching you. I'm rooting for you. Yeah, go, Johnny. Go, Johnny. But every time I open the doors to probably the best audience on any entertainment medium is my audience, and I love them, okay? I don't even like calling them fans, because it's not like you're a fan, like you're some fanboy. You're my friends. The people that tune in every day, John McNamee, Amal, Marianne Semino. I could go through the whole list. Susan Rochester Zacconi, Rita, Janet, everybody's out there. Janet Ruggiero from Juliet. I mean, the crowd has been with us, and it's growing. I see people, I see on their Facebook pages, I see them becoming friends. These are people that only met through a message board on a show that's on for 2 hours a day, and they become friends. They're in Colorado, they're in Florida, they're in New York, they're over here, over there. Our viewership in India is at like 5% now. India. Why does India care about JT and Liquid Lunch? Because we're speaking the truth, and people are coming back, because the incremental growth in our foreign countries has been tremendous. Our growth in India is up, I think, 75% in the last 2-3 weeks. It's for some odd reason. Same thing with the UK, same thing with Canada. So our message is getting out there, okay? But I'm a little annoyed that nobody, out of all my friends who have all these views and who support most of what we do, nobody wants to join me for a segment. Okay, fine. It's not like I can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to open the doors so that, you know, we can be something that doesn't exist, where the people who watch the show come on the show and help create the content for the show, and it's like one big behemoth, okay? It's Friday. I see the viewership is down a little bit, but I don't care. I see all our friends there, and that's all that matters. Now, we had something amazing happen, and many times I talk about Staten Island, New York. They call it the Forgotten Borough. It's one of the 5 boroughs in New York City. My country club, the Richmond County Country Club, is the only private golf course in all of New York City. My zip code where I live, 10312, is the highest, if not the highest, right up there in the top 5 of all zip codes in New York City for gun permits. So gun ownership is big here. Second Amendment is big here. And when Donald Trump was running in the primaries, in the Republican primaries, okay, I believe he got 82% of the vote in Staten Island, New York, in the Republican primary, okay? It turns out that 82% was the highest vote total, the percentage total, of any county in the entire country. Okay, another couple of notables are quite conservative, okay, and we have a blend of Democrats and Republicans, okay, but a lot of the Democrats here even are Reagan Democrats, you know what I mean? Donald Trump knows that this is one of the places that loves him, okay? And it's also the most Italian-American congressional district in the country, so, you know, Italians love Trump like nobody else. So get a look at this. Now, we got this little congressman guy here. He was a military veteran, and I always respect that in him, and I thank him for his service and all that other stuff. But probably one of the lionest liars you've ever seen, okay? Trump did an interview with the New York Post yesterday, and he said Staten Island is Trump country, and he calls for the ouster of Congressman Max Rose. So this president of ours zeroes right in, okay? And a good friend of mine, current Assemblywoman Nicole Malliotakis, is running against him on the Republican line. I think she's going to take him down. We got some work to do on her campaign, but here's what Trump had to say yesterday. Now think about this, okay? Now little old Staten Island, it's a little speck on the map, okay? We got a freshman congressman in there who came in and said, I'm not part of the establishment. I'm a military guy. I know what Staten Island wants. I know what Staten Island needs. I'm going to go down there and fight Nancy Pelosi, blah, 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 okay? And I think I'm echoing Donald Trump's words when he said, quote, Max Rode is a fraud. Don't forget, he said, I will never impeach the president, bah, 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 the president said. And Staten Island is Trump country, so you don't want to be the impeacher over there. He campaigned on fighting for the president, and he didn't do anything. He's just the opposite. He's a Pelosi puppet. And then here's the best part, okay? Donald Trump, president of the United States, is talking about one little miniature congressman. I call him Mini Max, because he's about that big, okay? He's a little guy. And during the COVID, he was like prancing around the testing station with his camos on and everything. He looked like, remember the little soldier guys, the little plastic green soldier guys, the little guys like this with the guns? That's what he looked like in his uniform. He looked like one of those little mini soldier guys. And it was overkill, but again, he's in the National Guard, military. He wanted to show off his colors and everything else. It's supposed to impress us, I guess, when you're trying to impeach the president who's running our country. But Trump said this, and if you hear local, don't forget this. He should not represent the people of Staten Island, who I love. He loves us. And that's Trump country. That's really Trump country. I know everything about Staten Island. I've spent a lot of time in Tyson's Park and Grimes Hill, many locations. I love Staten Island, but he shouldn't represent Staten Island. He's too weak. He's too weak. And when he says Tyson's Park and Grimes Hill, okay, I want to tell you that my dad was a builder. He's a cop. He retired. He became a builder. He got into building homes and stuff. And Fred Trump, Donald Trump's father, okay, it is Staten Island lore that he made his first millions in Staten Island. When Donald Trump says Tyson's Park and Grimes Hill, there are two tremendous, huge condo developments in both those places, Tyson's Park and Grimes Hill, okay, where Fred Trump built the whole thing. It's like Trump Village, okay? And Donald Trump probably worked on those job sites when he was a kid. And when he says, I know Staten Island, I love Staten Island, that's not some politician. That's not like Joe Biden saying, I love it here in Vermont when he's in New Hampshire. You know what I'm saying? This is the president of the United States saying, I love it in Staten Island. And we need a representative in Washington that can support a president who loves the place, okay? Instead, we got a congressman who kisses butt on Nancy Pelosi and does anything he can because she's pulling the strings. He's like a little lapdog, a little mini Max, okay? We didn't put you there to be Nancy Pelosi's tool. I didn't put you there at all. I didn't vote for you, okay? But the people who did vote for you, they didn't vote for you to go down there and try to kill our democracy. And that's what you're doing when you try to impeach a president. So kind of sickening to me a little bit that we're still talking about this guy, Max Rose, but he won fair and square. And the president recognizes that in New York, this blue progressive whole thing, there's a little swath in there called Staten Island, New York, which loves him. And we support him all the time. Okay. Nico, Jess, have we got anyone who is a regular viewer of the show who has indicated an interest to appear on the show?
Jess is checking now. She said she just got an email.
She just got an email. Let's take a look.
Can someone please try to come on the show?
Let's take a look. No, I mean, they don't have to. They don't have to. All right. The antipasto, as you can see, is diminishing right before your eyes. I'm taking it down hunk by hunk. These are beautiful marinated mushrooms from Freddy's. They are absolutely delicious. A little pepperoni, a little pepperoni. And you see me, I'm using these little forks, these little picking forks. But Nico is such a gavon that he comes over here and he starts putting his grimy little fingers all in my food and grabbing things. And I'm trying to avoid the places where I know he touched because I don't know where his hands have been.
I was trying to give you some of the antibodies, spreading it on the antipast.
Oh, Nico's trying to give the antibody antipast. Frank's going to love that one. All right, so your antibodies are on here?
That's right, baby. You got some plasma cheese.
I need some plasma on me. What? What's wrong with a little plasma, Jess? Come on. Okay. Let's not act like that, you know? All right. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to eat the rest of this antipasto, and we're going to come back after this. We're going to go down the rabbit hole for a bit. Nico and Jess are going to correct any mistakes I made in the show. And maybe one of our viewers will let me off the hook and actually make believe you like me and call in, but we'll see what happens. We'll take a quick break, come back right after this. Welcome back. All right, what's happening? All right, so the final segment it is. Here we go. Here we go. It is a Freaky Friday. I had a ball today, and maybe it's the food. For those of you who've been watching Liquid Lunch for over a year now, we launched in May of 2019. In the very early days of the show, every day we had food. We had antipasto, we had meatball Mondays, we had fruity Wednesdays, we had fruit and vegetables, we had healthy days. But almost all the time, we had some beautiful delicacy from Freddy's Gourmet Salumeria right here in Staten Island, New York. Great place. And as Trump says, Staten Island's Trump country. I think the food is making me happy too, because it's such nice food, a little fresh mozzarella. We have a little suppresata, some Kamala olives. Wow, they are. Those are Kalamata olives. So
Kamala olives.
Yeah, we should make a little Kamala doll with the Kalamata olives. You know. You said you have 6 and 7. Oh, okay. This is one thing I want to talk about. Now we will go really down the rabbit hole. Okay, is hydroxychloroquine effective? It sure seems that way. And there is more and more evidence, and we're going to have next week all kinds of doctors on. Okay, note to Nico, doctors for next week. And Dr. Dean Hart would be my number one, maybe Dr. Stephen Greer, although Stephen Greer says that our show is not up to the technical quality that he would like it to be before he comes back on. Hello. So this was on OAN yesterday. And one of our viewers sent this in to me, and I thought it was good. So the FDA, and I did some homework on it afterwards to see what's going on. There is science, not anecdotal evidence. There are studies out there that are showing that hydroxychloroquine does actually have some value. And I'm not a doctor, okay? And these studies also talk about, weird side effects in some people, which happens. But it's been on the market for like 60 years, and they use it to treat lupus and everything else, okay? But the FDA, put that back, Nico. The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, rejected a Michigan hospital's request to treat COVID-19 patients with hydroxychloroquine. So you start wondering, really wondering, at least I start wondering, heavily, if you know the drug has, minor side effects, and it's been around for 60 years, why wouldn't you just allow them to use it? These doctors, these are accredited doctors. This is an accredited hospital. They know that their license is on the line if they're misprescribing something. So they're not going to give it to people. The one thing of the Hippocratic Oath that the doctors take and the hospitals conform to is do no harm. Okay, so hydroxychloroquine, unless you have a heart condition, it creates rapid heartbeats and it causes, some arrhythmia in some patients, okay? If they have heart problems or blood pressure problems like me, don't give it to them. And the doctors are out there to make those decisions. That's why they call them doctors. That's why they're board certified doctors. So if some quack doctor, some witch doctor is going to give somebody that's going to kill them, then the FDA should step in, okay? Now, why? Is hydroxychloroquine going to kill you? No, I doubt it. The president said he was taking it for weeks, okay? But here's the more important thing. The one company that's supposedly speeding through the trials, the phase 2, phase 3 trials, is Moderna. Moderna, M-O-D-E-R-N-A, Moderna. Look it up, okay? Moderna is run by two people who were formerly aides to Dr. Fauci. So they worked under Dr. Fauci. They were at his hand. They're his students. He mentored them. He made them where they are, built their career. I mean, I'm sure they're great in their own right. But hydroxychloroquine works, or at least there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that it works, okay? And we had the whole story about Dr. Simone Gold, who's another board-certified doctor who held the white coat rally where all these doctors came and spoke out about the positives of hydroxychloroquine. Now, the FDA is saying you cannot use it. So are they ignoring the science? Or they know something we don't know? Why don't they put something out and say, here's why we can't do it, because it kills people or it hurts people? The bigger story, if you ask me, is Anthony Fauci has a personal vested interest in Moderna coming up with a vaccine and the U.S. government buying 300 million doses from them, okay? And if you do dig a little deeper, okay? Anthony Fauci has a number of patents around coronavirus vaccines and cures. He has a number of patents to fight the malaria-like symptoms, viruses, and all this other stuff. Look, I was proud that Anthony Fauci was in charge of the National Allergy and Infectious Disease Association in our country. I was proud of that because he's Italian-American and he's been there through many, many, many different administrations, so I figure he's a straight shooter and he's, I want to be proud again, and I'm the biggest capitalist around. You know what? If I had a patent on some vaccines and two of the kids that used to work for me were running a company that made the vaccine, trust me when I tell you, I would do everything in my power to funnel all the government business to that company because I would make millions. And I want to make millions. And I can't begrudge Anthony Fauci for wanting to make millions, but is it at the expense of thousands of Americans who are being deprived of a possible remedy because the capitalist goal is to sell 300 million vaccines? I don't know. Thank you, Amal, for sending me that. It was a really good story, and keep them coming. Rita sends me, everybody sends me stuff, okay? Send it in. There's no place on television where you can be sure if you send in something good, it's going to be on air, okay? Like us, subscribe to us, leave a comment, thumbs up. Everybody hit 1 or 2 engagement right now before we end the show because it all means a lot. I need them. I need them. We're almost to the point of breaking these algorithms, and it's going to happen, and we're going to work on it even more on Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel, more Liquid Lunch. And Roger Stone, tune in.